the Indian is such like a fabric of the town. I just feel like if we put our heads together, we can make this right without just completely pulling everything out. I just want us to make sure that we look at the possibility of keeping it in the right way, maybe the way some of these other schools did. Sure, it's a lot of work, but I mean, this is why we do what we do, right?
Eleni, I did see what you sent us about some of the districts that were able to keep it, but they kept it with the support of local tribes.
Right.
And like what I keep coming back to is the Golden Hill Pagusset from Trumbull, the Mashantucket Pequot, and several other folks who recently publicly commented on HB 06619 have all said that they don't like the use of Indian as a mascot.
As the board, we mentioned many times that our responsibility is to educate the people in the district, correct? So we're not going to be able to change the minds of everyone in the world. We're just here to prepare the people and the students in our district about the name and about the history and how it affected us. The best you can do is to teach them about what's going on in the town and let them use that in their conversation, how they feel is the best way to use it. But I don't think...
That's another fair point, too. But I have a question, though, on that, right? So let's say that we all agree that curriculum is the way forward. Are we going to teach in our curriculum that the Mashantucket Pequot asked us to retire this nickname? And that we decided that we were going to educate on it instead? Is that going to be part of the curriculum?
Well, that's for us to decide. And moving forward, what is and what isn't. I mean, there are 1,000 aspects of that culture. Are we going to provide information on the 1,000 aspects, or are we going to try to narrow it down to the base? I don't know.
Native American Indians who are more connected to their history and their culture said it was offensive to them. Native American Indians who are not that connected to their history said it was not offensive. So my point is, when you look at any issue that affects any group, if it's a gender, based on gender, sexual orientation, race, ethnicity, religion, whatever the case may be, you're always going to find people who are not offended by something and some who are offended by something. My thought process in those situations is to, okay, let me listen closely to people who are connected to that issue, who are connected to their history and everything.
And I don't think we're trying to say the education as a Band-Aid to then say, like, oh, do the education, then we can keep it. Like, I think we're truly trying to make this okay, Jen. Like, I don't want you to think I'm just saying, like, throw a slap a Band-Aid on it.
No, I wouldn't reduce what you said to that level, not at all. No, but I'm saying there may be no amount of work that would make that name okay. So they found that the exposure to the mascots the impact is so negative on Native and non-Native students that the study is no longer allowed to be replicated because it wouldn't be ethical.
First, they are psychologically detrimental to Native American students. Second, for non-Native persons, they are associated with negative stereotypes of Native Americans. Third, these mascots undermine intergroup relations by increasing negative stereotypings of Native Americans. Lastly, supporters of these mascots are more apt to believe in prejudicial ideas. It's not meant to be a piece on advocacy. This is meant to be a piece that just looks at the research. That, combined with Connecticut General Statute 10-A, stating that it is our duty to reduce racial, ethnic, and economic isolation, and also combined with Section 302H of the North Haven Town Charter, leads me to believe that this is a good time for us to be looking at this and talking about this.
And I think once the American Psychological Association makes a resolution that recommends the retirement of the Indian mascot because of its detrimental impact on children, I'm wondering what our obligation as a board is at that point legally if we are exposing kids to something that we now have been presented with scientific evidence that can be detrimental to development and health.
And I will end with a quote from Dolly Parton, who's one of my favorites. Dolly Parton once said, "When they said Dixie was an offensive word, I thought, well, I don't want to offend anybody. We'll just call it something else and move along. As soon as you realize something is a problem, you should go ahead and fix it."